Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. So happy to have you here with me today. And you know what? If you are a functional nutrition practitioner, and specifically if you are ready to take your expertise specifically around gut health therapies to the next level, then you are definitely in the right place. So today I have a very special guest for you, Emily Haddock from Music City Nutrition and Wellness. And yes, that is based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm really looking forward to this because Emily is going to share some really awesome practical strategies to help guide you and your clients towards optimal gut health. So we're going to be digging in to some of her pearls of wisdom, and we'll be sharing that with you today. So again, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Live with Lesli show. And I am Lesli Vitel. I'm a practice building expert specifically for health and wellness practitioners who want to attract more clients, sell more programs, and ultimately grow a profitable practice while integrating multiple streams of income into their businesses. So again, today we are talking all about gut health and mastering the fundamentals of gut health therapies. And before we jump in, today's sponsor is lucrativecourse-blueprint.com. And this is my most popular program that teaches you all of the strategies so you can generate exponential income from offering online courses, group programs, workshops, and home study programs. So doors are now open. So check it out, lucrativecourse-blueprint.com. All right, Emily, I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Yay!
Yay. Thank you so much for having
Delighted.
me.
Yay. Really looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too.
Especially around gut health, which just, definitely definitely an increase in demand, right? And
Yes.
of those types of services. So before we jump into the nitty gritty, can you share a little bit about your backstory? How did
Yeah.
you end up, really specializing in this particular area?
Yeah. So first I'll say that I actually have two niches, one being gut health, IBS related symptoms, and then the other niche being disordered eating, chronic dieters, those that have maladaptive eating behaviors. And I really got into the disordered eating sector first, I would say, just because of my own background and history with having an unhealthy relationship with food. And then the gut health sector kind of came out organically, both from that and then having a close family member, my brother, dealing with severe IBS throughout our entire childhood into adulthood. And so I wanted to help him and others like him. But there's a lot of crossover. So those that have a lot of disordered eating tendencies and behaviors also tend to have gut health issues as well. In fact, I think about a fourth of those that have disordered eating are estimated to have IBS, and over half of those that have eating disorders have IBS. So it really
Wow.
tends to affect a lot of those that have either restrictive tendencies or other more severe eating disorder tendencies. And so I see a lot of overlap there, and some may come to me with gut health issues. And then I find down the line they're also dealing with their relationship with food and their body. And so we work on both of those in conjunction. So yeah, I
So
work on both.
interesting.
Yeah, and I love both. I'm passionate about both, but I do find that a lot of my clients come to me with one, and they tend to have the other issue as well.
It's so interesting. Can you share any insight as to why that might be? I could guess. But
Yes.
yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so we were kind of chatting about this before.
Yeah.
Is it the chicken or the egg?
The
And
chicken or
I
the
think
egg, right?
exactly. And I think that we don't really know. And
Hmm.
it's so individualized. Maybe that person already had irritable bowel syndrome symptoms growing up, and because they started to fear foods and not know what their triggers were, they started to eliminate and over eliminate foods, and that created their poor relationship with food. Vice versa, if they were already dealing with a poor relationship with food, over restriction, going on diets where they were eliminating entire food groups or restricting, carbs to a higher degree than needed, then that's going to set you up for dysbiosis, for an imbalance in the microbiome. If you're not eating the balanced meals that you need, enough fiber, just enough food in general, that's going to disrupt your microbiome, and it's going to cause motility issues, because if you're not getting your small intestinal smooth muscle to work correctly and work consistently, then it's going to start to atrophy and just not work as well. So that's a big issue with those that have anorexia, like re-implement normal size meals. They have a lot of bloating and a lot of indigestion because their intestines are just not used to taking on a normal size meal anymore. So yeah, it's both ways. I also think the gut brain axis plays a huge role in it as well. With eating disorders, you tend to have other mental disorders as well, anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. Right. And that can exacerbate gut health issues. So you have that playing a role in it as well.
Okay. So interesting. Like we were talking about, years ago, when I first started this work, back in that day, I might have suggested that, you pick one niche and really solidify yourself, position yourself as the go-to expert, and then maybe add a secondary niche, right? But nowadays, I got to tell you, I'm really, really seeing more and more people doing what you're doing. And I think it's really super effective given the overlap, right? So
I agree.
You're really successfully attracting both types of clients, which is pretty spectacular, right?
Yeah.
And of course, there's some people that are coming to you for one, and then lo and behold, they're struggling, with the other, disordered eating or whatever the case may be. So
exactly.
Super interesting. And and you are from Nashville. We were also talking about that. So it seems like everyone nowadays is a transplant, right?
Correct.
You are born and raised in that area, right?
Yes. So I'm from here. I actually was born in Boston, but I moved.
Okay. You moved when
I was a baby. Yeah. So I'm a Nashvilleian. And technically, I'm called a unicorn now because so many people are moving here. And anyone that's from here is a unicorn because it just doesn't exist as much anymore. It's like mostly out of towners.
Right.
Which kind of crazy. But from Nashville.
Yep. I love that. All right. So let's jump into some of this juicy content that we have to share. So let's start by digging into, I'd love to know a little bit of background on how you uncover the root causes of your clients' gut health issues. And how important is that to really get clear on the root cause? Tell us your philosophy on that.
Yeah, I think it's essential. Knowing what is at the root of their issues and what's exacerbating their issues. You can't make sustainable changes without taking a look and examining what the cause is. If you're just, throwing supplements or an elimination diet with no consideration for what's going on with that individual, then the results that you're going to get, they're just not going to be long lasting. So, there are some clients that come to me that don't even require a elimination diet per se. It's more so taking a look at their current diet and then finding out maybe they are over restricting, especially again, the carbohydrate group, which we know is the group that has most of the fiber, our beans, our fruit, those types of things. And so if they've had long histories of dieting and, gone through maybe diet recommendations that demonize the carb group, then I'm going to say, okay, we need to take a look at this first and make sure that we're balancing your meals a lot better and getting enough of those foods. And sometimes that alone can make the world of difference. And they're really appropriate for a elimination diet in the first place. Because anyone that has disordered eating tendencies
Yeah.
really shouldn't go on the full low FODMAP diet, because that's going to worsen it. It's
Oh,
going to,
right.
exacerbate their fears around foods. And even though it's reasons for their gut health versus their weight,
Uh-huh.
it's still because they just are mentally not full with the relationship with food. It's just going to
Mhm.
worsen it. So yeah, taking a look at their root causes is so important. So
Mm.
I try to see, where what their diet looks like currently, of course.
Mhm.
And oh, sorry, someone is ringing in. I'm ending that. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Okay, so where their diet is currently, if they're over restricting certain foods or including too many of, saturated fats or things like that, that can cause more inflammation and worsened digestion. And then I'll take a look at their habits, which are so
Mm.
crucial as well. So, meaning, are they just rushing through their meal, sitting at their desk while they're eating and still working, eating mindlessly, that sort of
Right.
thing, eating too quickly? That's going to set us up for even worsened symptoms.
Mm.
And a lot of times, also just changing those habits can really make a world of difference. Um, Even if they continue to eat some of their triggers, if they're eating more mindfully, slowing down, helping their body go into the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode, you can
Mhm.
handle triggers a lot better. So yeah, just really taking a look at their habits. Stress and lifestyle as well are just as equally important. So I make sure to see, are they just on fight or flight constantly? We need to figure out some stress coping mechanisms for them. Because sometimes it's not diet that's the trigger, it is their lifestyle and their inability to deal with stress. So yeah, it's crucial to figure out what's going on with them.
So do you find that you start with some of the lifestyle components?
Sometimes, yeah.
Maybe, before you move into, testing and like, actually tell me a little bit about where testing fits into your process.
Yeah, so I don't do any sort of testing.
Okay.
Um, as far as testing goes, I have a whole blog post on this, but food
Mhm.
sensitivity tests are not evidence based, especially the
Mhm.
IgG tests are not evidence based.
Mhm.
So I don't do anything like that.
Okay.
The most effective way is just through the elimination diet. But yeah, I will typically start with habits before I even get into that elimination phase, because I want to
Okay.
see how much of a difference it makes first.
Okay.
If them slowing down and working on breathing techniques, meditation, things like that, and implementing those strategies
Mhm.
helps them, then why should we have to go through the whole entire elimination and reintroduction um, diet that's really time consuming and kind of stressful if they
Uh,
can make, a big change with habits alone? So depends, but I
okay.
typically will start with lifestyle and habit changes first.
Okay. So
Yeah.
interesting. Uh,
Yeah.
and then where does how do you decide whether or not to go with the FODMAP or kind of more of a traditional, elimination diet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say what I decide on eliminating or changing in their diet depends on where their diet is now. So if I
Okay.
see, looking at their diet, that they're eating tons of onion and garlic and wheat and dairy, like really high FODMAP foods,
Yep.
then most likely I'm going to go with that that
Okay.
low FODMAP approach. Um, Otherwise, sometimes it may be taking a look at, are they eating, again, too many fatty foods, too much
Mhm.
caffeine? Those can make a huge impact on their symptoms as well. So it's just about getting them to, fill out a food recall, looking at their diet. What are the
Mhm.
trends? Trends
Okay.
matter a lot, and seeing what they're doing over and over again. And the same with the opposite. Are they not getting enough fiber, enough different types of fiber, both insoluble and soluble, which
Right.
really matters, getting that balance there. If you're eating too much roughage and cruciferous vegetables all the time and not getting the balance of berries and oats
Mm.
and flax seeds, bananas, those type of like soluble fibers that can help
Mhm.
bind things, then
Right.
that's going to be off for that person. Kind of went on a tangent there, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Actually, okay, so this is might be a little off the cuff, but it kind
Yeah,
of reminds me of a question.
yeah,
What are your thoughts on lectins? Because you mentioned, oats and yeah. So I just know so many people get very confused once you start like bringing lectins into the picture. People
yeah,
just kind of freak out. What are your thoughts on?
yeah. Honestly, it's not something that I really discuss much in my
Okay.
practice. And I think that if we're cooking our foods adequately, then it's
Mhm.
not really something to be worried about.
Okay.
I never really see that as a root cause of people's GI
Gut
issues.
damage or
Mm-mm,
anything like that. Okay.
no, no.
Yeah. That's so
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't it seems amongst RDs like it doesn't seem to yeah, I don't know of any RDs that really focus on this, quite frankly.
yeah. I think it's definitely more in the kind of functional naturopath world
Yeah,
versus the registered dietitian world. And,
right.
I think there's a need for both, but RD, it's mostly from what are the evidence-based recommendations
Yeah.
and what does the robust research have to say?
Mhm.
And so that's where I come from
Right.
typically. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, let's dig in a little bit more to that all important gut brain access, shall we?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
we know it plays such a huge role in, symptom severity and, really contributing to overall gut health. So tell me a little bit more about how that element, that piece, the mental health piece really
Yeah.
plays out. Um,
Yeah.
and how do you actually identify someone that is struggling in this area? I mean,
Yeah. That's a good
because like
point.
all right, so if I am a fast eater, I might
Hmm.
think that's normal,
Hmm.
on an
Hmm.
intake form,
Yeah.
not
Yeah, for
indicate
sure.
that I, gobble my food down in 5 seconds, right? Because that's
Totally.
normal. Everyone around me does it, right? So
Totally.
I'm
Well,
really curious about how you identify it as a
yeah.
point and
You know,
how you work with that.
Yeah, well, it's part of that main discussion that I have during that kickoff call. Because I think,
Okay.
yeah, you get some from the paper form, but until you start to dig deeper and get them to start thinking about their own habits in a different way, you're not going
Yeah.
to see all of that just from the form that they fill out. And some of it comes to light the longer that you work with them. You realize, oh, okay, they've been finishing their meal in 5 minutes. When you start to talk about how a meal should really take 20 minutes, they're like, oh, okay, I had no idea. Or like that you should be chewing really thoroughly, like 15 to 20 times, especially if that, motility is a huge issue for you, then you need to start digestion in your mouth a little bit more. So it's really once we go through some of the nutrition topics and I lay that out for them, that they realize, oh, okay, yeah, that was definitely an issue that I'd never addressed before and I never thought about. Yeah, but as far as identifying and how that plays out, I mean, yeah, it's huge. With people that have IBS, 44% have anxiety and about 84% have
Wow.
depression.
Wow.
So it's,
That's a
yeah,
huge number.
it's a huge number.
Whoa.
I know.
There's so much overlap.
So much overlap, and I think there's still so much to be
Crazy.
uncovered, which is really exciting being in this
Yeah.
niche, because I think that the research is getting better and we're paying more attention to it. So we're only going to find out more and more how to tackle both at the same time and to help these types of clients. But yeah, there's huge layer. I mean, IBS, even though it doesn't necessarily cause lifelong damage to the gut,
Mm,
the quality of life,
mm,
how that affects your quality of life is huge,
mhm.
and it really can impact how um people's mental health and how they're able to just get through their day-to-day
Just
life.
and have a life, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, have a life. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Without,
because they're,
fear.
yeah, and they're just thinking about it all the time because they're like, when am I gonna feel normal, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and or do I have access to a bathroom, like those sorts of fears that shouldn't be the case.
Mhm.
So that's another reason why I just love working with these types of clients, is being able to help them, you know, transfer all that time and energy that's gone to digestion and bowel movements to something
Right.
way more important.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
having a life and
Yeah,
doing things that you love, getting your life
exactly.
back, feeling
It,
amazing again. So key.
yes.
And,
Yeah.
what I find so fascinating is, the research coming out talking about, the microbiome deficits
Yeah.
directly linked to mood disorders such as depression and anxiety, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fascinating. So, I mean, there's just such a strong connection.
Yeah.
Uh, and I would imagine, there's just probably a ton of opportunity to partner with, therapists and psychologists,
Mhm.
psychiatrists who are working with patients that have ongoing mood disorder issues, right?
Definitely.
Such
Definitely.
an
I mean, I think
opportunity.
there's such a overlap there in ability to create great synergy with those types of practitioners, because it just, you can't do one without the other. I
Right.
can help to implement healthy habits to
Mhm.
improve their mental health from day to day, but a lot of times they're going to have to see a therapist as well, and vice
Right.
versa, until they've really tackled what their root issues are for their IBS and their gut health issues. And until they feel better, it's going to be really hard for them to improve their mental health. So they just work hand in hand really well.
They really do. So much more than ever before, which is
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you work to identify those, perhaps those deficits in lifestyle, shall we say, like, gobbling your food down, living a really high stress life. I would
Yeah.
imagine even, insomnia, right? All
Yeah.
excess
Yeah.
caffeine intake, excess fat intake, all of those things are going to really impact, the results. So then how, give me a little bit of the specifics around, how do you get someone to slow down? How do you get someone that's really kind of high strung, right?
Yeah.
Lives a high
Mhm.
stress life. How do
Mhm.
you get someone to make some significant lifestyle changes in that regard? I would imagine it's challenging for some.
It's definitely challenging, especially if they are an adult in their 50s or whatnot,
Yeah.
which a lot of my clients are, they've had
Yeah.
these habits their entire life. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where goal setting as a dietitian is essential, making
Mm.
smart goals, which we all talk about, but they are so useful. I really do think so. It
Okay.
has to be attainable, it has to be realistic, and you have to give them specifics around it. You can't just say, slow down, reduce your stress. That's never going to, you have to figure out little tiny adjustments that can make improvements over time. So, that may be taking a look at where they're eating most of their meals. And that's part of the food journal they fill out. They can say, okay, I had it at the table, I had it at my desk, in front of the TV, whatnot, and taking a look at that. And then saying, okay, so you're eating most of your meals at your desk, work. Let's take one meal a day and remove distractions. And then you just kind of add on from there. And it does have a snowball effect, I find. Once
Okay.
they've implemented one change or strategy and they find how much better they feel, then they want to add on more and more. So I just take one little piece at a time
Mm.
so that it sticks as sustainable habit. We want these habits to continue way beyond when I'm working with them. We want
Right.
these to be lifelong. Just little pieces like that. Or say we talk about how long. Well, first, I do try to get them to time how long their meals are typically taking. So, say it's only 5 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes. Okay, let's add another 5 minutes from
Hmm.
there and continue to add five till we're closer to that 20-minute mark that can really help optimize digestion better.
Okay.
Or same with chewing, like how many chews are you typically doing? You have to have a starting place to know where you can get from or go from there. Was that your main question?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just curious in terms of the implementation. Super
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because, those behaviors are so embedded, right? Oh my
So
gosh.
embedded.
Like so embedded.
Yep.
It's to me, it feels a little different than, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, okay, walk around the block or, get X number of steps, right? In a day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
These seem,
They're harder.
just,
They're
I think just more challenging, but I think the big takeaway that you explained so eloquently is SMART goals. Like you
yeah.
got to make it specific and
Yeah.
then we just continue to add on from there.
For sure. I think that one reason to hire a dietitian and why we're so good at what we do is because of how we set goals.
Absolutely.
Yes, obviously we know the ins and outs, the science of nutrition, but a lot of times that's not even what the client cares about.
Right.
It's just feeling better. So knowing how to make those goals that are going to uh, give them that progress that they want is so, so crucial.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I can totally see that. I'm really curious about your thoughts around supplementation. This
Yeah.
is a topic every practitioner kind of has their own approach and their own set of opinions around supplementation. What is your philosophy?
Yeah. Great question. So I think just like with the elimination diet, I wait to see how things pan out
Mhm.
with habit changes.
Okay.
So can we get their diet to a place that it's thoroughly balanced? It has a lot of color, enough antioxidants, soluble fibers, all those sorts of things. If that's not reasonable for that client, then I may start taking a look at a prebiotic, for instance.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're not getting enough varied foods that our microbiome likes, probably a sign that they need to try a prebiotic.
Mm.
Um, same with fiber supplements. So are not able to get enough meals in throughout the day to hit their fiber goal, to get that 25, 30 grams of fiber. And it's hard for a lot of people. I mean, if you're not eating 3 meals and a snack, most likely you're not hitting that fiber goal. So
Right.
that might be a reason that we need a little bit of help.
Okay.
And sometimes I just do it as a start off point. We've already tried some dietary changes. It was a little bit too difficult. So let's start with some sort of psyllium fiber supplement and see, if that's one of the root causes for your GI issues. And if you're starting to feel better, okay, we know that's where we need to work on in your diet. So it's kind of like a stepping stone. But I think they're totally useful, but context and individualization matters. When it comes to probiotics, that also is so individualized. I think many clients come to me and they've already started a probiotic, and if they say that it's helping their symptoms, by all means, like, continue.
Keep doing it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's no harm to it. It's gonna drain money from your account,
Yeah,
but
exactly. I was going to ask about that.
yeah, I mean, they're expensive, especially the really good quality ones. They're
Right.
expensive.
I wonder, like, if someone's trying to re-inoculate the gut, right?
Yeah.
Really trying to work on the health of their microbiome. How, like, I guess the question I always have is, do you got to keep taking it endlessly to get the benefit?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good
or
question.
does the benefit slowly wane when you discontinue?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think it's still something that we don't really know.
Okay.
Um, Probiotics, there's a lot of great research out there, but when it comes to IBS, there's still not like evidence-based recommendations when it comes to certain probiotics
Mhm.
for those that subtype of GI
Okay.
issues. Being said, okay, yeah, back to your question. If they have a long history of being on an antibiotic growing up
Yeah.
and really wiping out their microbiome, then I would probably say, once we find a probiotic that starts to help them feel better, they're
Mhm.
probably going to have to be on it for life, because
Wow.
if they
Hmm.
wiped out their microbiome at a young age, you really can't
Okay.
calculate that. Mm-mm. Um, on the flip side, if that's not the issue as much, but we just need to help environment a little bit more. That's like one of the main things that probiotics do, is help
Mhm.
to create a more anti-inflammatory environment
Okay.
that our microbiome's happy at, and that helps our host microbiome grow and thrive more. So it can be in certain instances, a short-term stepping stone.
Okay.
Um, at the same time, though, you have to be working on the prebiotics. So either through supplementation or a more varied diet. If you're not giving your microbiome the fuel it needs, then
Hmm.
it's never gonna grow and
Got
stick.
it.
You know,
Seems like a
I
lot of
can't.
people forget about that part.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh,
Right?
yes, yes. No, everyone thinks they can take a probiotic and everything's
Take a
fixed.
pill,
Not the
good to
case.
go. Okay. You
No,
got to
no,
feed these little
got to feed it.
microbes.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's way more important than the probiotic implementation, honestly, is
Okay.
okay,
Interesting.
what are we doing on the front end first? It definitely can help. It can be with all of these.
Mhm.
I think that um, diet is the basics and the thing that you need to get down, and the most important thing, but certain supplements can help improve your symptoms even more so. So I just never think, don't try to fix it with supplements. Those are
Okay.
add-ons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered if there's like like a specific species that has been identified to be in deficit, or maybe the opposite, overgrown, creating the imbalance um, for IBS, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing, research just as an example, kind of intriguing research with like Akkermansia, right? A
Yeah.
specific species in the gut. And, there are some studies coming out that say, this is the typically with people that have trouble regulating blood sugar,
Hmm.
it seems like this is the species that is tends to be really low. So do you think
Yeah.
there's anything like that coming out in the IBS world?
Yeah. Yes. So it depends on the type. So with IBS-D and post-infectious IBS, which is when you maybe have like a parasite, um, or like a major GI infection
Mhm.
that triggers the IBS. Saccharomyces boulardii is one
Okay.
that's been noted there. And then for IBS-C constipation, there's something called Bifidobacterium lactis
Okay.
12, BB12.
Yep.
Um, so yes, there definitely are specifics that are being noted um, to help those symptoms and those specific types of IBS. That being
Okay.
said, I don't think the studies are small. I do
Yeah.
implement those probiotics with certain
Mhm.
clients.
Mhm.
I still don't know what their actual microbiome looks like, though.
Right. Okay.
It's still
Yeah.
like everyone's so different. Like,
Right.
that's, sometimes it's shooting in the dark. Let's try this. If it works,
Mhm.
then yeah, that was your issue. But if it doesn't work, if you've done it for a month and you're not finding any real improvements, no, that's
Okay.
you're wasting money. Yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. It's
Yeah.
I love when we get down to these, specific species
Yeah,
in terms of, it just seems like there's so much opportunity for more research there, which is
for
pretty
sure.
exciting.
So exciting. I love it.
Okay. So bottom line is in terms of your philosophy on supplementation, clearly you're a food first
Yes.
practitioner. No surprise, being a registered dietitian, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
you trained.
Yep.
But you don't object to supplements and you use them very, I don't know, what would the word be? Strategically. How's that?
Yeah.
You
Yes,
do use
exactly.
them strategically. Besides, prebiotic, probiotic, any other categories of supplements that you feel
Um,
are
I would
helpful for this patient type?
Yeah, so just the fiber supplement as well. So prebiotic, which are fibers, but it's a specific type that we know that can help our microbiome to thrive. But then there's also fiber supplements that are helping more with moving food through our system,
Okay.
absorbing more water. So, like I said, the psyllium fiber
Do you have
would
a
be
favorite?
just any psyllium fiber
Okay.
would be my favorite. Anything that's just that and nothing else. I do find that doing the powder for the psyllium fiber versus the pills seems to work a little bit better.
Okay.
And with fiber pills in general, you have to take so many to get to the amount that you need. It's like
Right.
something create like 8 or more a day.
Yeah. Too
Versus if
many
you do the
pills.
too many pills. So I'm just like, do the powder, choke it down real quick. I think it's going to be a lot easier in the long
Yeah.
run. And then with the prebiotics, um, partially hydrolyzed guar gum, there's something called sun fiber.
Yeah.
There's also, what is it? Something girl.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I was just at today's dietitian,
I don't.
regular girl.
Yes, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Yes, regular girl.
I love that
Yes,
name.
yes, me
Their
too.
marketing. Yeah, I love their
It's
marketing.
perfect.
It's so
It's perfect.
cute. The
Yes,
regular girl. So, so
yes,
cute. What a cute spin
yes.
on words.
So
Okay.
cute.
What kind of
Love that.
fiber does that have in it? Is it the
Same.
same as sun
It's
fiber?
the Yes, it's the same
Okay.
as sun fiber, but I don't really like to give ask a man to take regular girl. I don't think they're really going to want to do that. So I'll like switch in between those.
Okay.
Um,
But are
and
they
then
basically the
basically the
same
same. Yeah.
product? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sun Fiber, is that available on like Full Script?
Yes. Yes. Sunfiber is, I can't
Okay.
remember. I have to look at I have too many things going on, but I can't remember if both of those are on there, but I do know I use Full Script
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. That's awesome. I
to
wasn't aware
prescribe.
that they have Sunfire.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I've heard that from several practitioners that by far their favorite is Sunfiber.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I
Okay.
think it can be really helpful. Other than that, peppermint capsules. So
Oh,
enteric coated peppermint capsules.
okay. Who would
You'll
have known?
you may know the name Ivy Guard. That's one you can find at
Okay.
like Walgreens. But yes, Practice Better has peppermint capsules, and that really helps more so with some of the pain and irregular motility that goes on with those with IBS. So a lot of that pain, bloating,
Hmm.
taking a peppermint capsule before or right when you eat your meal can really help with that.
Okay.
Oh, and lastly,
Yeah.
but not leastly, enzymes, which
Oh,
yes,
enzymes. Let's talk about that.
yes. So I don't really I don't think I recommend any from Practice Better. Sorry, I sometimes
From Full Script?
from Full Script. That's what I meant, Full Script. But there's something called FODzymes. Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's
BOD?
the FOD. So like
Oh,
FODMAP,
oh, got it.
FODzymes.
Fodzymes. Oh my goodness. Tell me about
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
mean, is this common knowledge out there? I have never heard of it.
it's sort of a newer thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. All right,
and
guys, we're
they
cutting
have
edge.
yes. So they have created a enzyme powder that basically you sprinkle onto your food
Okay.
when you know it's going to have one of your triggers. It has a combination of lactase for lactose.
Mhm.
It has an enzyme for galacto-oligosaccharides, so like your beans, your legumes, and almonds.
Yeah.
And then for fructans, so onions, garlic, wheat. So it's the only one out there, I'm pretty sure, that has
Oh,
the fructan enzyme.
okay.
So, but it has a combo of all those. So, those are some of your triggers that can be really helpful. I
Mhm.
think the main caveat is that it's expensive.
Okay.
So people want to save it for
Yeah.
times that maybe
So
they're
I
going
don't
out of
need
the
it like every
country.
meal. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
FOD,
Zyme. Mm.
ZYMES.
Yeah,
Okay.
FODzyme.
And
Yeah.
so interesting. And
So
is that available on Full Script?
it's not. No,
Okay.
not
All right.
this time. You have to order it. Pretty sure directly from their website.
Okay.
Um, and they have both like a jar that you can just have at your house, but they
Okay.
also have like to go little packets so you can just bring with you to the restaurant or when you go out of town. And you do have to sprinkle it over your food because the way that it kind of congeals and works together
Yeah.
is how it breaks down those high FODMAP foods. And I have a couple clients that have used them with great success that have severe
Fabulous.
IBS, yes, and are sensitive to garlic and onion, which are two of the biggest FODMAP.
Not easy to eat out, right?
No, exactly. It's really hard because everything has,
Everything's got an, yeah,
even
everything.
even at home, like sauces,
Yeah.
any
Not using garlic or onion, it's pretty tough.
so tough. So
Which reminds me, because I would imagine it's FODMAP diet, it's got to be pretty rough to,
yeah.
food prep. Do you ever recommend, some of the food prep services that
Yeah. Yeah.
specialize in creating FODMAP diets for people?
Yes.
Just wonder where that
Yes.
fits in.
do. And it really depends on how good of a cook that person is or how
Right.
comfortable they feel in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Um, Modify Health and
Yeah.
Epicured are two that
Okay.
I both recommend and have low FODMAP meal delivery, which is great, is
Okay.
awesome.
Epicured. I'm actually interestingly going to meet with someone from Modify Health today.
Oh,
So,
nice.
because I want to learn more about it. They also have
Yeah,
Mediterranean.
they do. Yes,
So
which is also great.
yeah, I'm interested in that, just to kind of lighten the load in terms of, food prepping, but I want to learn a little bit more
Yeah,
about their process. Now, what's the second one? Epicurean? Is that what you
it's
said?
it's Epicured,
Epicured. Okay. And
and
is
I'm
that
pretty sure they're
strictly
just low
FODMAP?
FODMAP.
Okay,
Hmm.
low FODMAP. All right.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. But both are great, and
Yeah.
I think with both you can kind of pick or choose, do like a whole package, or buy more like a la carte. It can be
Okay.
really helpful for those that, like I said, are maybe a little bit less proficient in the kitchen, or
Right.
that have a really busy lifestyle and
Exactly.
they just can't spend all that time figuring out what uh, what to make that would be fitting in with their diet plan.
Right.
That being said, it's rarer for me to recommend those than just have them follow. I mean, I make individualized meal plans for the client that are low
Okay.
FODMAP, and I try to make it as easy and laid out for them as possible.
Okay. Mhm.
So typically, they're just going to go with that. That way, they can still kind of eat in the way that they've been eating, but we just make little tweaks and make it more low FODMAP, so that they're sticking to it.
Yeah, that's great. So that
Yeah,
personalization.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, time flies, doesn't it, Emily? Um,
yeah.
is there are there any final things or final words of wisdom that you'd like to share before we wrap things up today?
Yeah. I would just say remember the individual, which I've talked about throughout this talk, but everyone is going to have different root causes, different things that help them, and you have to be able to kind of change course along the way too. Be able to go with the flow and know how to maneuver based on how they're improving. So that's really important too. Don't just keep going with an elimination diet when you're not seeing any progress. So
Okay.
just individualization is key, and taking just monitoring their progress along the way and seeing what's working, what's not working. And then, yeah, looking at them in a holistic manner. Yes, diet, which we're trained in, but physical activity,
Mm.
lifestyle, stress, sleep, where can you make little changes there as well?
Amazing. I
Yeah,
love it. All right. Well, thank you so very much for sharing all of your amazing wisdom with our audience today, Emily. I really appreciate it.
of
And
course.
thanks to everyone who joined us live, and also those of you that are going to see this on the replay. Appreciate you joining us. All right, guys. Sounds good. So thanks again, Emily.
Thank
And
you.
I'll look forward to seeing all of you same time, same place next week. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. And thanks again, Emily. Bye.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.